Well, welcome to the 700 Club, and Terry's here with us, and I understand, is it your mother-in-law, your mother? Is it 100?
My mother-in-law. We just celebrated her 102nd birthday.
Come on.
And she's sharp as a tack. She Skypes with my husband every Wednesday on her computer.
No kidding. Where does she live?
She lives in Chicago, a suburb of Chicago.
She does?
Yeah, she
What's
lives...
your secret?
You know, this is the crazy thing about it. I mean, she's always lived a moderately healthy life, but I mean, no great extreme health measures. She's not like a real staunch exerciser, but she does a little, you know, just moderation in all things, I guess. But I mean, she also is very, you know, she cares a lot about her kids and her grandkids, and she's actively concerned about their lives. Yeah.
Well, there's no reason.
Amazing lady. Amazing lady. She has sore knees.
Well, to the news. All right. Happens to all of us.
Yes.
But anyhow, as you remember, folks, yesterday, I did call it. I said on this program that I believe Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy was going to step down. And a few hours after that show was off the air, he announced that indeed he was going to retire. And now President Trump gets to choose his replacement. And his decision could shape the Supreme Court for decades to come.
Well, Trump has promised to act quickly, and Senate Republicans want to have that new justice seated before the midterm elections. But Democrats are already promising a fight and using scare tactics to delay any vote. Well, Heather Sells brings our coverage.
Kennedy played a crucial role on the court, often providing the key swing vote when the other 8 justices were split. The president noted his influence at a North Dakota rally on Wednesday night.
The travel ban ruling underscores just how critical it is to confirm judges who will support our Constitution.
Ronald Reagan nominated Kennedy in 1987 after his first 2 choices failed. Kennedy will likely be remembered for his gay rights decisions. In 2015, he wrote the majority decision giving gay couples the right to marry. He also voted to uphold Roe v. Wade in a challenge to abortion in 1992. His retirement gives the president a second judicial pick in 2 years and an opportunity to do what many of his supporters have hoped for, the ability to shape the court for years to come.
And I'm very honored that he chose to do it during my term in office because he felt confident in me to make the right choice and carry on his great legacy.
The political fight over Kennedy's successor is already looming large. The Senate must confirm the president's nominee, but Democrats are protesting, saying the vote must wait till after the midterm elections.
Our Republican colleagues in the Senate should follow the rule they set in 2016, not to consider a Supreme Court justice in an election year.
But the Republican Senate leader says there will be no delay.
We'll vote to confirm Justice Kennedy's successor this fall.
If Republicans unite behind a Trump nominee, there's little that Democrats can do. New Senate rules forbid filibustering on Supreme Court nominees, so only 51 votes will be required for confirmation. CBN's Eric Rosales in Washington has more on who the president might pick.
With the news of Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy's retirement, President Trump has already created a short list of candidates. Each prospective nominee has the potential of shifting the ideological balance of the court ever farther to the right for decades to come.
Different conservative groups contributed both ideas and suggestions to the list that President Trump is going to use. And the principles that are common among all the people on the list are traditional conservative principles.
Justice Kennedy often provided the swing vote in liberal decisions like legalizing same-sex marriage and upholding Roe v. Wade. Heritage Foundation senior legal fellow Thomas Chipping says among the potential replacements is Amy Barrett, a judge in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. There's also a former clerk to Justice Kennedy in the running.
Brett Kavanaugh, who is a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals here in Washington. He's been there for more than a dozen years, very experienced.
Another name on the list is Georgia Supreme Court Judge Britt Grant, a member of the Federalist Society and only 40 years old, which would make her one of the youngest Supreme Court justices ever. Hours after the announcement, some headed to the steps of the Supreme Court.
It's going to give Donald Trump another opportunity to pack the court with extremely conservative justices, and so we're out here to kind of push back against that.
That could be a wasted effort, according to CNN legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin, who tweeted, "Anthony Kennedy is retiring. Abortion will be illegal in 20 states in 18 months. Hashtag SCOTUS, a move that concerned women for America hope to see."
You want there to be a constitutionalist appointed because they believe in the Constitution as it was written. It's not that they think it's a living, breathing document that will say whatever they want it to say based on feelings.
Other conservative groups like Americans for Prosperity and the Judicial Crisis Network already announced that they plan to spend at least $1 million on the looming battle to replace Justice Kennedy. They want, quote, a nominee in the mold of Neil Gorsuch. Eric Rosales, CBN News, outside the Supreme Court.
You know, with Senator Schumer aside, the truth was during a midterm election, the Senate indeed confirmed a Supreme Court justice, and it was during a midterm. The question, this was not a presidential election that's coming up, it's a midterm election, and it's one that will not affect everybody. But without question, the Republicans have the votes and they need to get it. Now, what should they look for? I don't think the issue is abortion. Everybody talks about abortion, abortion, abortion. Well, you get rid of Roe versus Wade, then you got all that Supreme Court jurisprudence. I feel that what is needed is a judge who has the humility to recognize that the judiciary is the lesser part of the triumvirate we have in government. We have an executive, we have a legislative, and the judiciary. And the judiciary has no power. It has not the power to tax. It cannot raise the army. And it was never intended to be what Thomas Jefferson called an oligarchy. And what we have had in the past are judges who thought they could rewrite the Constitution. We need judges who are true to the Constitution more than anything else. Recognize the role of a judge is to determine issues under the Constitution and not try to rewrite the Constitution. The progressives have said, well, the Constitution is a living document and you can continue to make it malleable to suit the changing mores of the times. That is not what the Constitution should be, and it's not what it was intended to be. They have to like Justice Scalia did, strictly interpret the Constitution. What does it say? What was intended to say? What is the meaning of the words? And how does it apply to current law that's before them? Period. And judicial activism has just been driving America crazy because these are non-elected judges. But it looks like what the president, when he selected Neil Gorsuch, he got a superb man. And there'll be a number of Democrats who should be voted for his nominee. I think of it as a man named Bill Pryor, who is down the Fifth Circuit. He's a tremendous judge. He was the one that was lying up after Gorsuch. And we haven't heard too much about him, but he's 56. I don't know if that is too old. They're trying to get somebody in the 40s so they can stay on for years and years and years. But I'm sure the president, who's got the advice of the Federalist Society, he also has the advice of a guy like Jay Sekulow and others, who will say, look, these are important decisions, but it looks like the Lemon case and all the religious liberty cases that have been so hurtful. You know, that little children can't pray over their milk and cookies, and you can't have prayer, and you can't have Bible clubs, and you can't have this, that, and the other. All that has got to stop, and it looks like to me a well-planned assault by a group like the American Center for Law and Justice. After a new court is set up, we can have some serious jurisprudence, some serious changes of the law. It won't be just Roe versus Wade. It'll be a whole lot of other cases that deal with religious liberty and the role of the Constitution and the role of the judiciary in the lives of people.
Do you think it'll actually happen swiftly?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they can't. There's nobody can stop them. I mean, you know, the Democrats took away what we call the nuclear option. They did it. Harry Reid did it. And so now it takes a simple majority in the Senate to confirm a Supreme Court judge. And if they get somebody of the same skill as Neil Gorsuch, he was an incredible selection, incredible. So they need somebody like that, and the president has got a list that he's been advertising. So he'll cut it down to about 3 people, then he will personally interview each one of those, and we'll have a marvelous selection. And here's some of the potentials that you see pictures of. They're talking about the possibility of a woman. I don't know if they've got a number of women, whether because of the abortion thing that they want to have somebody who, but you know, they already have 3 women on the court, so it's not that it's an all male-dominated crew. They've got Sotomayor, they've got Kagan, and they've got the lady that's been there forever and ever and ever. So, but we'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, it is an important thing, and it shows how very important our elections are. And this thing, I mean, do whatever you can to back up the president's nominee when it makes it big. They need to move this thing forward, and the Democrats can't stop it, and they know it, and it's probably driving them crazy.